I defy anybody, any one of you out there listening to this, to honestly turn around and tell me, honestly, that in your 40k gaming career, that you have never, not once, had an instance or walked into a grey area, a bit of contention, when it comes to terrain and interpreting the rules thereof, the positioning of models around it. Some way that terrain interacts with your model that you don't quite agree with your opponent with, or you and your opponent aren't sure. Because terrain's hard to get right in this game. It fucking is, and you need it. Terrain is the third player of the game. It helps to frame your army, to bring the battlefield to life. You could play a game with no terrain, but in my opinion, it'd be a boring as fuck one. So, you've got to have terrain, and it's always been difficult to sort of get the rules right around it, because with such varied armies and varied terrain pieces, GW Cell, you've got your third-party terrain pieces, all that good stuff, it's hard to get a concrete, airtight set of rules that is just so simple and cover every aspect. In fact, I'd say it's near impossible to do that. Now, 9th edition, I've read this article. You know, they've released an article talking about terrain, line of sight, and all that stuff. And am I pleased with the changes they're saying to make? Or said to have make? Or, I couldn't even get that sentence right. Am I pleased with these potential changes? Yes, I am. Do I think they're going to make them airtight? No. I definitely do not think these are going to be airtight. But a step in the right direction is still a step in the right direction. And you never know, one day, maybe they will come with an airtight set of rules. I can't see it, but maybe they will. But that being said, let's go into this preview. Right, straight off the bat, you're going to have 4 types of terrain. You're going to have hills, you're going to have obstacles, you're going to have area terrain, which is area terrain, it's self-explanatory, you walk into an area and that is the terrain, and you got buildings. And I don't think I need to explain how buildings work. Well, not how they work or what they are. I don't think I need to explain that. Right, obstacles, that's pretty simple. If there is a something between you and the thing that wants to make you dead with a gun, then you're going to get, more often than not, +1 cover save against it. Fair enough. And hills are hills, boys and girls. If you stand on a hill and something shoots you, that hill is not going to help you in any way, shape or form. It's a hill. I mean, it might obscure you from the other side of it, but if you're on it, you're probably going to get shot by something, okay? Fair enough. Now, it appears in 9th edition, terrain is going to have traits that could be stackable. So at the beginning of the game, you and your opponent, if it's all pre-built third-party terrain, that kind of thing, but basically you and your opponent decide what terrain pieces have what traits, and these are stackable. The 2 examples they give here, light cover, heavy cover. Light cover, when an attack made with a ranged weapon wounds a model that is receiving the benefits of cover from this terrain feature, add 1 to the saving throw made against that attack. Invulnerable saving throws are not affected. Fair enough, we get that anyway right now. If you're in terrain right now, you get +1 saving throw. If you're behind a barricade and your model's within an inch of an inch or whatever it is, you get +1 saving throw. That's fine. Heavy cover. When an attack made with a melee weapon wounds a model that is receiving the benefits of cover from this terrain feature, add 1 to the saving throws made against that attack, unless the model making the attack made a charge move this turn. So, as long as you aren't charging, you will get +1 cover save against melee weapons when you are in a piece of terrain with the heavy cover trait. Now, cover saves, well, terrain giving cover saves from melee attacks, as far as I'm aware, that's brand new. So, that's pretty good. I mean, you can stack both of them to provide cover from both melee and range attacks. I think the example they gave here is a bunker. Pretty damn good, but be careful on that heavy cover one, because like any good double-ended dildo, that works both ways. Your opponent can get that cover as well if they're in there with you. So, you know, something to bear in mind. But again, you and your opponent discuss this before the game begins. That gets heavy cover, that gets light cover, all that jargon. Now, This is the one that I was interested in. Obscuring. Now, I say this because I played Tyranids. Tyranids are spiky. Rules as they are right now, and as me and Jamie and Chris have been playing them, which is fair for everybody. I mean, I agreed this. If you can see any point of your opponent's model, if you can draw a line of sight, you can shoot it. So I might be able to have... I'm going to use one of my top offenders for this. Toxicrene. Toxicrene to a footprint of a Baneblade, and I cannot believe when that was first being shown off in White Dwarf, I thought that was a good thing. It's like, whoa, this thing's got the footprint of a Baneblade. Yeah, it also means it takes up about as much space as a Baneblade, and it's about as annoying to fucking move as a Baneblade. Oh, and it's got tentacles, so that's a bonus. Now, getting that thing to be obscured is next to fucking impossible. Can I get it into a position where I can hide its body behind a piece of terrain? Yes. Can I get it into a position where I can hide its body and its fucking massive tentacles behind some terrain? Can I fuck? So, that model can still get shot because you can still see its tentacles, its body may be hidden, and that's the way we play it. And I've had instances in the past where, you know, some of my models, you can see a little bit of it, like a teeny tiny sliver of it, and as the rules stand, you know, you can see it, you can shoot it. Now, that has been working both ways, to be fair, so I can't really complain too much about it. I mean, I can complain about the Toxicrene, and I do when I will, and I'm not going to stop complaining about the Toxicrene. That's something else. But fixing how we interpret the line of sight and the obscuring rule is something that I was being keenly interested in when 9th edition was announced, and they said they were going to obviously take a look at how cover works. So now we've got this obscuring rule. Right. If this terrain feature is at least 5 inches in height, then models cannot see through or over this terrain feature. This means that one model is not visible to the other if you cannot draw a straight 1 mm thickness, straight line 1 mm thickness between them without it passing through or over any part of this terrain feature. The height of a terrain feature is measured from the highest point on the terrain feature. Models that are on or within this terrain feature can be seen and targeted normally. Aircraft models and models with wounds characteristics of 18 or more are visible and can be targeted even if this terrain feature is in between it and the firing model. Note, the reverse is not true. So, that is clarification. As long as my Toxicrene is behind that building, or whatever has got this obscuring trait, it's got to be pretty fucking big. It doesn't matter how many holes are in it. You cannot target it if that thing is at least 5 inches in height. However, if somehow I manage to fit it inside this building, you still can target me. That is clarification. So as long as you are behind it, and your opponent cannot draw a line of sight between them and a bit of you without it going through or over that terrain, they cannot see you. No windows, no doorways, no little crack in the wall, none of that bollocks. That's gone. And thankfully, aircraft and Titans don't seem to be able to get that rule either. 18 wounds or more, you're going to get spotted because you're fucking massive. And it doesn't work in reverse, so you can hide from, obviously, those massive fucking guns, which is nice. It's clarification, and that is the most important thing at the end of the day. Minimize that grey area, just makes the game faster, more enjoyable, and we could all do without those stupid debates, well, this means this and this means that. Okay, so, it's going on to show here examples of terrain and the traits they're going to get. So, it gives you ruins, terrain category, area terrain. Fair enough. Terrain traits, scalable, breachable, light cover, defensible, obscuring. Now, we know what light cover is because they've already explained that. Obscuring, we know what that is because they've explained that. I can only guess that scalable means your infantry can climb over it. I can only assume that breachable means that your infantry can go through it. Excuse me. And defensible, I don't know. Maybe it means you can get a cover save if you're inside it. We don't know. I don't understand how that would be any different than light cover. Unless maybe it gives models attacking you while you're in this area terrain, like a minus to their charge move. Don't know. I'm a bit out. The jury's out on that one. But scalable and breachable, I think making an educated guess, it means your light infantry can go over it and through it. Fair enough. Armored containers, it's an obstacle, so you're probably going to get that +1. Light cover, there you go, there's +1. Scalable, you can climb over it. Exposed position. Right. So you got light cover, which means that as long as you're in it, you will get +1 to cover save made by shooting attacks. So what does exposed position mean? Will that make you susceptible to another form of attack? It's interesting to think about what these means. I mean, I wouldn't even begin to guess what exposed position means. I mean, sure, that's like contradicting the light cover. You're light cover, then you're exposed. God knows, don't know. It goes on in this preview to talk about, obviously, just showing you examples of how a board's set up and, clarifying battlefield sizes. I knew that was going to happen. The moment they said, oh, you could have a minimum size of this, I knew people would be like, oh, but what about my 6x4 table and all this? You can still use 6x4 table. They're just giving people without the space to use that an option as well, which, more 40k for more people is always a good thing. And here's a curveball for you. Now we've talked about the terrain, Zoats, apparently. That thing from Blackstone Fortress. Yeah, it's getting rules for 40k. Now, this is completely out of left field for me, but it's something to talk about. I mean, it's a nice looking model, nice and weird. With models like this, these legacy models like Zoats, Squats, and that kind of thing, I know a lot of people will read into this saying, well, look at Zoats, it's got rules for 40k, that maybe an army isn't. Well, no. Just because a model for a game that is in the 40k universe, but not a 40k game, aka Blackstone Fortress, is getting rules for 40k, does not mean that this thing is going to get its range. Just like in Necromunda, when they released that squat, doesn't mean squats are on the menu. Doesn't mean that. It just means that GW is giving you a chance to play with your toys outside that game. Okay? Okay. Am I saying that squats and Zoats won't ever come back in a army form in 40k? I'm not saying that. Anything is possible. All I'm saying is, I wouldn't put money on it. I wouldn't go down to the bookies down the road right now and put money on it happening anytime soon. Okay? Cool? Cool. Right. But it's a nice model, though. It's a very nice model. It's unique. And it's just a very nice thing to look at. I mean, a range of these kind of things, it's sort of like it feels like something you'd see on Doctor Who in a good way. Like if Doctor Who went really dark. Sort of like a cyborg lizard thing. I mean, Robo-Lizard? Robo-Lizards are cool. I'd buy Robo-Lizards every day of the week. But yeah, it goes in a little blurb here as well, like, because basically this thing's going to have a keyword where it's, what's the keyword called now? I don't know what the keyword is right now, but it's going to have like a keyword that allows it to go with any army. And I think it says a blurb here, so, oh, feeling nostalgic? You can add one to your Tyrannus force. Okay, so I'll stop you right there, GW. Disbelief and the suspension thereof is what makes this game very good. You are putting a lot of strain on whatever's keeping that disbelief up there, suspended, when you say that this thing can go in a Tyrannid force, in my opinion. Okay? Tyranids don't play well with anybody apart from Gene Stealer cults. And they only play with them for a limited amount of time before the game's over and cultists are back on the menu. Okay? So, thanks for the offer, but no thanks from me. But yeah, Tau Empire, I could see them hiring in mercenaries. They do it often with the Kroot. So yeah, Zoats and Tau Empire. And yeah, even the Imperium, when the back's against the wall, they all ally with Xenos. They've done it before, they'll do it again. Anyway, there's the stat line. The Archivist. Movement 5, Weapon Skill Ballistic 3, Strength 5, Toughness 4, Wound 6, Attacks 4, Leadership 9, Save 3+. That's respectable. It's not too bad, you know. Wound 6, probably going to be a character. Strength 5, very nice. Toughness 4, yeah, Space Marine toughness, it's fine. The weapons on this thing, though, weapons on this thing are pretty good, especially its pistol. Atomic Disassembler. Okay, sounds like something the Necron should have, but fine. An 18-inch pistol, 1. Strength 8. AP -3, D6 damage. And targets do not get the benefit of cover from attacks made by this gun. Strength 8 pistol, that's pretty good, with the D6 damage, -3. So, can be fired in combat, that's pretty damn good. And its melee weapon is called the Eradicator Glove. Not the Power Glove, the Eradicator Glove. Strength ×2, so strength 10, -3, spot 3 damage, -1 when making a hit roll with this weapon. Respectable weapons for a respectable looking model. And yeah, that's it. That's the terrain preview and a random Zoat thing thrown in for shits and giggles, I suppose. Anyway, that's it. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Thumbs up, thumbs down, all that piddly crap. I will catch you all next time.